G'day, how you doing? Hopefully this is coming through loud and clear. Monday morning, I hope you had a great weekend. Oh, it is coming through loud and clear. There it is on my phone, coming back down through there. We have a couple of new additions. Can you see down the bottom here? It says viewer count 35. You beauty. We did make a new stream record on Friday. I think we had 56 concurrently. All at the same time. So I'm not sure if this viewer count tells us how many people are viewing all together or how many have viewed and maybe switched off and switched on and just keeps adding up. I don't really know, to be honest. The other cool thing that I've added over the weekend is if you hit the subscribe button, and I'll need someone to test this, we should get a little notification in the top right hand corner that says your name and thanks for subscribing or something or other. Anyway, hit the subscribe button and see if your name flashes in the top right corner of the screen. We'll see how that goes. All right, little bit of normal housework or housekeeping, whatever you call that stuff when you start off the stream. Be sure to share this with your friends, photography friends, camera clubs. As I said, hit the subscribe button and the get notifications button, because then you will get an email and a little blip on your mobile phone to tell you every time I go live, to remind you every time I go live. And of course, have a look down in the comments below. Two things. Today I have placed the example images there via a Dropbox download. So if you wish to download those and follow along, maybe best to watch the video first, then you can go and download them and then try and repeat the process while watching the video if you like, for a second time. So that's there. And I also have, as I've mentioned before, my most popular Photoshop course, the Essentials Beginner Photoshop Workflow. That's my most popular course. It was $149. I've now changed the pricing structure to pay whatever you like, whatever you can afford, whatever you're comfortable with. And if you're doing it tough, just put a 0 there and you can have that course as a gift from me. Absolutely no problems there. More people creating incredible photos, the better, in my opinion. Are we coming through loud and clear? Looking good, looking good. Good morning all. Oh, we've got heaps of people. It says 39, going great. Glennis, David, Grant, looks like Tim and Sandy maybe. Anthony, Graham, Karen, Sam, William, Pamela Jennings, and Sue all with us. And there was a few others up the top which I already said hello to. Good morning this morning. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're enjoying this. Today, now I did promise at the end of last week that we're going to be looking at how to strengthen our photography business or develop. Just swallowed a fly. I didn't really, but it kind of felt that way. I did mention late last week that we were going to look at how to strengthen or maybe even develop a side photography business in this downtime when we have a lot of time on our hands potentially, or not all of us do, but a lot of us have a lot of time on our hands. And I think we can use that productively to strengthen our existing business or maybe even develop a side business. Now I had one of those weekends where not much really got done, to be honest, and I didn't get onto that PowerPoint presentation, and I don't want to kind of half-ass it, and because I think it's a really important topic, and I think I can add a lot of value from my experience over the last 5 or 6 years. So I'm going to push that back. I'm going to aim for Thursday, which will give me the next 3 days to put something really special of high value together for all of you guys at home to maybe work on in the next few days, weeks, months. Who knows how long we're going to have time on our hands for. And, you know, strengthen our business, strengthen our online aspect of our businesses, our photography businesses, or you could probably even apply this to pretty much any business, to be honest. And if you always wanted to, you know, have a career change or whatever, well, maybe now's the time to really set that up. So let's aim for Thursday. I promise it's going to be Thursday. Actually, let's not aim for it. Let's lock it in. Thursday morning, we're going to be looking at that. Today, we're going to do sky replacement. And tomorrow, had a lot of requests about mashing this one together, but we're going to do something because a lot of people also said they prefer to follow along. So tomorrow I'm going to put the links for all 6 or 7 or 8 images that bring this piece together, and then we'll slowly put it all together. Now, I've never recorded this as a tutorial before. I think it's going to work okay. I think it's going to work rather well, but this will be of great value for everyone, including all my course members, because we've never done this one before. So something new for everyone. Fingers crossed. It's a pretty complex composite. As I said, 9 or 10 images, I think, come together. But, you know, I think we can do it. We can do it together. I'm not confident, but I think, you know, it'll be fun trying anyway, won't it? Okay, let's get into it. A couple more have joined us. We've hit 45. I don't know, as I said, if this is 45 watching or what it is, but anyway, that doesn't matter. Has anyone seen the little subscribe and notification pop up in the right corner? No? Yeah? Hopefully? I'm not sure. Try it. Hit the subscribe button. Sneaky way to get more people to subscribe to the channel, I know, right? Get your name up in lights. Let me know if you've seen that pop up in the right corner. It was working when I was testing it, but maybe it's not working now. Okay. Let's delete that one out of the way for now. This is the image. As I said, the downloads are down there. Go ahead and download those after we run through this tutorial with this incredibly beautiful sky image as well here. Absolutely gorgeous. We're going to blend those two together. The base image here is of 𝗀𝗃𝗄𝗯 Gorge in Central Australia. Actually, Robin Moon, who I just said hello to earlier, was one of the first onto the stream this morning. She was here with me on a photo workshop at 𝗀𝗃𝗄𝗯 Gorge, along with her husband Tim and several other people. So she will remember this place very, very well. It was an interesting afternoon actually, because the clouds looked absolutely spectacular, and it was odds on that we were going to get a beautiful pink and orange sky across the entire sky. There was all these little cotton wool buds across the entire sky. There was a gap on the horizon. Everything was lining up perfectly. But we didn't get the colour over our main subject here. We had colour over the back of our shoulder, quite nice colour in the opposite direction, as often happens, but we didn't have colour over our subject. So with that being said, we'll go ahead and add some colour. You know, we can't get outside all that much at the moment, so we can create a different sunrise photo every single morning using the same base file if we like, and we can brighten up the days of all of our viewers and followers on social media with our new Create a Sunrise skill set. Okay. Now, there is that whole debate about, is it reality? Is it Photoshop fakery and trickery? Yeah, it is, but I'm not too fussed about that. I tend to just do whatever I like. Sure, if someone asks me if I've replaced the sky, then I will say, yeah, absolutely, this is what I've done, this, that, and the other. But it's not that big a deal at the end of the day. The chances are that sometime in history, a sky that looked pretty much the same as this has existed over this location. So it's not even, it's a stretch of the truth. Yeah, the sky didn't look like that when I was there, but it's not to say that the sky hasn't looked like that, because it probably has. So we're not really falsifying the location, in my opinion, because it still represents what could be the truth, even though it's not. But we'll keep that between us. Okay, let's get into it. Jim says he doesn't see anything. Jim, close the Photoshop video down, close the YouTube video down, and click back on the link and see how that goes. It seems to be working for everyone else pretty well, so fingers crossed we're going okay. Okay, what we're going to do, click on the sky image. If you've got both of these downloaded, they'll be in separate workspaces, okay, and we need to place them both in the same workspace. So click on the sky image and we press Command or Control A, that will select all. Command or Control C to copy. And there's a number of ways of doing this, but I think this is the easiest way, to be honest. Click back on the base layer, base sky replace it's called, and we press Command or Control V. There we go. One image on top of the other. Oh, look at this. That's what we're trying to achieve. Okay, you can go ahead and delete that layer. So there's two layers on this sky base layer. You have the background layer, and we also have, look at that, just spectacular. That's what we're going to try and achieve. Just absolutely stunning. Suits this image really, really well. I'm just going to, let me just right click and delete that finished product out of the way. And we now have that sky on that background image. Okay, turn off the sky layer and click on the background layer. Click on the background layer. And we're now going to use the quick selection tool to make a selection of the sky. Now the quick selection tool is 4th tool down on my tool panel. You can press W for, William, W for William, it's like playing Wheel of Fortune. W for William. In fact, that's probably a better way. Press the W key, and then what I want you to do is right click on the highlighted tool, because there's two tools that come up with W. One is the Magic Wand tool, and the other one is the Quick Selection tool. And I want you to click now on the Quick Selection tool so we all have the same tool and we don't have anyone confused because you accidentally selected the Magic Wand tool. Now let's move along the top and get our settings right. The default for quick selection is this little plus icon, okay? So the one in the middle there, click on that. The next one along is our size and hardness. Size doesn't matter, set your hardness to 100% and spacing to 25. They're the defaults, I think. If they're not set on that, go and set them to that and you'll never need to change them again. That tends to work really, really well. Size doesn't matter, we'll change that as we go. Click the sample or layers checkbox. Although we don't really need it in this example, click it on anyway because it's useful most of the time, to be honest. And that's it. All I'm now going to do is, using the square brackets, so over near your enter or return key, just above, there's a set of square brackets. So not the round kind of brackets, the square cornered ones. And if you press the left one, your brush will get smaller. And if you press the right one, the brush will get bigger. And that's the case with any brush tool. Those square brackets will work. Now all we're going to do is click and hold, don't let go, in the top left corner. Click and hold, you'll see the selection begins, and just drag along the top of the sky. And look at that, I only get halfway and it snaps down. And for this particular image, we don't need to mess about a bit, so don't follow along this next step, but if I accidentally manage to get a bit more than what I bargained for with the selection, I can hold down Alt or Option and you will see my tool goes from a plus symbol to a minus symbol. And I can just push that back. And the better selection we get now to a certain degree, the better the next step will work. Okay, so once we've got that dialed in like so, click on, and look, if it doesn't work, that step, just press Command or Control D, and that will remove that selection, and you can start again. Click and hold, drag along the top. And now, depending on which version of Photoshop you have as well, this might be a slight variation. The tutorial that I'm doing now is going to suit the very latest versions of Photoshop the best. If you're using something way, way back like Photoshop CS6, some of these buttons aren't going to exist, I'm sorry. It is still possible to do with CS6. And if you send me an email to Adam@AustralianPhotographer, I think I've got an old tutorial and I can link you to that tutorial so that you can replicate this same process using CS6, okay? Probably is a different image, but it'll still work, hopefully, with these two images. Okay, now we're going to click on the Select and Mask. There's two buttons up the top. So select Subject, we don't want that one. We want Select and Mask. Click on that. And we get a little workspace like this. Now let's set it up so we all have the same on the right hand side. You'll see a view menu, a little thumbnail. Click on that menu and select the red overlay. That's my favorite. You can choose whatever you like, but red overlay for this example is probably best. Click the menu to close that up. Set the opacity slider here at 50%. And then make sure the rest of the sliders are all zeroed off to the left. Oh, except Shift Edge, which is zeroed, but zeroed in the middle. Okay, they're basically the defaults. You shouldn't have to change many of those. Move over to the right hand side. We're going to select the second brush down. If we leave our mouse on there, it's going to tell us that's the Refine Edge brush tool. And you can use R for rabbit for a keyboard shortcut. The default is the plus symbol. Click on the plus symbol. The size doesn't matter. I don't know if we need to click sample all layers. Probably not. I don't know. Have a mess about with that. In this case, I'm not going to click it because we're working directly on the background layer. But if you were working on an image that had a lot of layers on top, then maybe you would want to click that. I don't think I've ever clicked it. I don't think I've ever clicked it. So maybe it doesn't matter. Now, we can zoom in a little bit. Command or Control plus. Press that twice, Command or Control plus. And now that we've zoomed right into our workspace, if we hold the space bar down, you'll see a little hand icon. We can click and drag around the workspace now. When I let go of the space bar, the hand will disappear and our Refine Edge brush will come back. Now, let's just make the edge brush a little bit smaller. You can see up the top I've got 35 pixels, about that big. It's not critical, but what you want to do is you want the brush to be, well, the perfect size, to be honest. Not too small that it's going to take forever to trace around the edges, and not too big that we're going to paint into areas that don't need it. Because if we paint down really low, then Photoshop will grab pixels from other areas and do some funky things. We want to only be painting along the transitions, really. And let's paint along that now and see how we go. I've gone a little bit smaller, 30 pixels. And if there's anything that represents Photoshop wizardry, check out this beautiful thing. In my courses, I go into a bit more detail because the quick selection tool that we're using now, in conjunction with the Refine Edge workspace or Refine Edge brush, it's the most powerful selection tool that Photoshop has, in my opinion, but it is something that you need to know really, really well on an intricate level, and how to manipulate, more so how to manipulate the mask once you've created the mask through these steps. And you'll see in my advanced courses at 𝗟𝗏𝗡photography.com.au, my intermediate and advanced courses, we touch on what to do when this doesn't work as perfectly as it's going to work in this particular tutorial. Well, now I've said it, Murphy's Law, it probably won't work well. But all we're doing is just painting along this transition and trying to hit these areas, see where that tree is still not selected or not red. As we come along, it will select that and it will remove the red from the sky behind. See that? It is pure magic. Hold down spacebar and just drag along to the next area. Now I can make the brush maybe a little bit smaller and just run up this edge. Same thing, same style. Once you've finished practicing on my images, grab a couple of your own images and see how you go. Just take your time. No rush. Has anyone seen that little subscriber banner yet? No? Oh, maybe I wasted my hour trying to get that up and testing it and this and that, and it doesn't even work. Oh well, we'll see if I can get it working tomorrow. It doesn't show up on my main screen because it shows up back in the app which I'm using to stream this, so even though it looks like it shows up on my screen, if it is indeed showing up, I can't see it. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. If we zoom back out, you will see that we now have a really, really tight selection. Now, if you're using an older version like Photoshop 17 or 18, I would suggest you update because there were a few funky glitches along the timeline of Photoshop updates where it got a little bit weird and it used to open up the reds in the foreground and do some funky stuff. But in the latest version, Photoshop 2019, which is on my outdated Mac, and the brand new version 2020, which is on my brand new Windows machine over there, but I don't have a webcam and I can't share. Well, I could do it without my ugly mug on the screen, I suppose, but it's much more fun to see me here, isn't it? Especially when things go a little bit astray. Okay, enough of that. Let's go. Click OK. We're all good to go. Just click the OK button. I forgot one thing, didn't I? Let me just, don't follow me. If yours looks exactly like mine here, don't follow along, because that's what we want. I want to see that selection, the marching ants dancing around the sky, but where are we? Where are we? Indicates masked areas, output settings. Okay, if yours look different, I'm sorry, you're going to get some extra practice. You might have to start again. In output selections, you want output in this menu to selection. Okay, perfect. Sorry if yours got messed up the first time around. Go around and start again. It's all good practice. Click OK. All right, now what we're going to do, we have that selection. We're going to add a curves layer. So down here at the little black and white adjustment layers icon, click on curves layer, and you'll see those marching ants get taken from the screen and added to this mask. And I'm not going to do anything with the curves layer whatsoever. I'm going to leave it blank and just double click where it says curves 1 so that I can rename this layer sky mask. And I like to save my masks within a blank curves layer on my layer panel because it's the easiest way to access them. To reactivate this sky mask, all I need to do is hold down Command or Control now and click on the little sky mask black and white icon there. Okay? Command or Control D will remove that selection. Let's take a look at how accurate or inaccurate, hopefully accurate, this sky mask is. If we hold down Option or Alt and click on the little black and white mask there, we can zoom in a little bit, Command or Control plus. I think you would agree that that is a pretty spectacular mask for what would take, when you were polished and you know this technique really well, that would take 10 seconds, 15 seconds at most. And look how good that is. Absolutely perfect. Okay, just click to the right, or you can hold down Option or Alt and click the mask again, and that will return to normal. Okay, let's now add the mask to the sky. Hold down Command on a Mac or Control on a PC and click the little black and white mask. Click on Layer 2, which is our sky layer at the top, and add a new layer mask. Now, if for whatever reason your layers get a bit messed around in the order that they're in, the sky, it should go background, sky mask, and then our new sky, which is currently called Layer 2. We could double click on Layer 2 there and call this one just simply, let's call it New Sky. Now, if they get messed around, you can always click and drag them so they're the same as mine. See how I now have background, new sky, sky mask? I would prefer sky mask to be down above the background layer like so. If we now turn on the new sky layer, this little icon here, it will drop in behind, and that looks pretty good already. But what we're going to do, see the little paperclip between the sky icon and the mask, this little paperclip here? Click on that to remove the paperclip. Now they're not clipped together. And then go ahead and click on the sky icon. So not the mask, see how the mask is now selected with those little white, whatever you want to call them, set squares or angles around the edges, selection angles. Click on the sky layer so those little selection angles are around the sky layer, and we'll press Command or Control T for transform, and we'll just click in the middle and drag this. You know, oh, that's looking nice, isn't it? Just place that wherever you think that looks nice. Obviously, we don't want to put it up there and have some of the water in the background there, but you know, something like that. I'm just going to make it a little bit bigger on the edges just to make sure that the sky covers the entire selection. Okay, just stretch that out a little bit. Perfect. Click OK. Click the check mark at the top of the screen. That's great. Now, if we zoom in though, Command or Control plus twice, you will see I've got some haloing. See those halos? Now, these halos are caused by a tonal variation or a brightness variation from the original sky and the new sky. And this happens almost every time when we try and combine two skies together, because actually often what happens is the sky we're dropping in tends to be darker, because darker skies tend to look richer, more saturated and more dramatic. So we tend to be dropping in darker skies into where there once was a lighter sky, and we get this kind of halo technique. Now let me show you what I think is the easiest way to fix this. There's a couple of ways actually. Oh, 55 viewers. Look at that. We're nearly hitting a world record. Well, not a world record, a stream record. Hopefully. Let's see if we can push 56, 57, even crack 60 today. That'd be tops. All right. There's a couple of ways. Let me show you how you can do that. If I click on the background layer, this is not the way. Just sit back and relax here, and we'll do a follow along in a minute with the actual way. I'm just going to give you some options. If I click on the background layer, for example, and then click and add a curves layer, what I need to do is darken the background layer to match the new darker sky. So if I click on that curves layer and pull down, can you see that halo has gone? Because now the foreground matches the lightness or the light intensity of the new sky. And if we scroll along, yeah, it's pretty much fixed up the majority. What we could do is like paint in this section and then produce the same technique, another curves layer, to match up this section here maybe. But I think there's an easier way. Okay, so essentially what I'm saying is you could brighten up the sky a little bit maybe, or in this case I've darkened the foreground. So if I remove that curves layer, whoops, delete, zoom back out a little bit, click on the new sky layer, and if we add a curve above, don't follow along yet. Fooled some of you, didn't I there? Don't follow along just yet. If we add a curves layer and maybe try and brighten the sky, it will have the same result. And you could do a bit of both, to be honest. Now, when we brighten the sky, you can see if I do that now, it's affecting the background and the sky, and I don't want that to be the case. So if we hold down Option or Alt and hover between the new curves layer and the new sky layer, you'll see the icon of the mouse changes to a funky little square with an arrow. When you see that icon change, click the mouse once, and it's now got a little arrow pointing from the curves down to the layer below. This is called a clipping mask or a clipped layer, and now whatever we do to the sky does not affect the background. And if I zoom in, it's only a low res image, I'm sorry about that. If I zoom in, you can see before halo, after bright sky, not so much halo. Okay, so we can definitely do that. So keep those techniques in mind, you know, when you do your own images. You can brighten the sky, darken the foreground to get that halo to match. I'll just delete that by dragging that down to the trash. But there is one other way that I probably prefer most of the time over lightening and darkening, and that is to click on the background layer, press Command or Control J for jelly bean to duplicate that background layer. We move over to the right and we're going to select, you can press O for orange, okay, and that will give you the burn tool. Click on the burn, press O as the keyboard shortcut and then right click, because you can see there's 3 tools under there, and then click on the burn tool. We want the burn tool. Now come along the top and we'll set this up. Again, size doesn't matter. The hardness, yes, we do want the hardness at 0. Size doesn't matter, we'll change that in a minute. Range, Highlights or midtones is going to be the go. Let's start with highlights, and we might need to change to midtones. And then the exposure, probably around 30%. And it depends a little bit on how intense this brush comes down as to whether it's good or not. And you'll get a feeling for that as you go. Click the Protect Tones checkbox as well. And because I'm zoomed in, I can hold down spacebar and move all the way over to the right side here. Okay, I'm going to make my brush a little smaller, around 50 pixels, and let's see. Well, that's going to take a long time. Let's change to midtones. Okay, that's it. That's really nice. 30% midtones is working well for this. And what you'll see, it takes that halo and creates more of a silhouette. So just come along slowly, like this. And you'll see that halo disappear quite nicely. And the beauty of this technique versus the other technique, lightening and darkening the foreground or the background, is you can brush as much or as little onto a specific area as you like. For example, that area there, absolutely perfect. Don't even do anything. Here, it doesn't require much, just a little bit. Just a little bit. And what I will do when this is done, I'm going to make the brush bigger and lower the exposure percent down to maybe 15. And we'll do a big brush right along the edge to kind of feather that down, because we might have made like a dark line across the top of our foreground now. It wouldn't be that obvious to see, but we're going to make it even less obvious by feathering this off a little bit with a bigger brush. I'm doing this a bit rushed, but you can take your time and see how well that's working though. It's working really, really well. This, the ability to fix up this kind of haloing or light fringe, if you like, is the difference, is what makes all the difference in being able to successfully replace any sky. This is the one anyone can drop in a new sky, but without this technique here that we're doing now, not everyone is able to make it look realistic. Let's now reduce that exposure to 15%, and with our square brush brackets, we'll make our brush a little bigger, and we'll just sweep up just below that line like this, just a little bit like that, okay? No harm done. All right, absolutely gorgeous. But there's a bit of a problem, isn't there? The reflections don't match. The curtains don't match the carpets, eh? That old Aussie saying. Do you guys know that one overseas? Anyway, the Aussies will get a laugh out of that one anyway. The sky up the top doesn't match the reflections. So let's go ahead and repeat that same process. Click right back on the background layer, right down the bottom. Click the quick selection tool. Click on the reflections here, and we'll just zoom through this section, like so. Perfect. In fact, now we can use the Alt or Option key. Hold down Alt or Option, push up through here, push up those rocks. We don't want them in the selection. Perfect. Click Select and Mask. Perfect. Make our brush a little bit bigger. And we just run along this edge. Look at that. It is like magic, isn't it? It's not perfect there, okay? That's fine. We can fix that up manually once we're done. That's pretty good. Click OK. Once again, let's add a curves layer. And we'll double click and call this curves layer 1. Double click that and call it reflection mask. Probably spelt that wrong, but never mind. And we're going to hold down Option or Alt and click on that reflection mask and have a look. Okay, let's zoom in. Command or Control plus. This area is great. That's great. Not fussed with that. This probably doesn't matter, to be honest, but what we can do is we can use our dodge and burn tools again. So hit the O for orange, and then right click, and we'll grab the burn. No, we won't. We'll grab the dodge tool first. That's going to try and make our whites a bit more pure. So we want that to be working on highlights. Yeah, highlights. Yep, highlights. And then our exposure can be 30%-ish. And hopefully this works. Have I got it right? Yes. What this will do, it'll try and push back the highlights without really affecting anything else. Okay, so we can tidy up that mask. Look at that, perfect. Okay, right click on that same tool again, select Burn Tool. This time, Shadows. Change the exposure to around 30%. Make our brush a little smaller, and we'll just try and paint up to the edge a little. Don't go crazy, because you can get a bit of a bleed out, and we don't want that. If you can't get this technique to work, then maybe just leave the mask as is, and you can fix it up later with a black or white brush as well, where you don't want, there's sections here where we're going to have to manually do it anyway. Okay, that's fine. Hold down Option or Alt, and what are we going to do? Let's zoom back out. I need to duplicate the top layer, the new sky layer. Command or Control J, and we'll double click where it says New Sky Copy, and we'll call this Reflection Sky. Reflection Sky. And then right click on the layer mask. That's not the right layer mask. And click Delete Layer Mask. Okay, we're ready to go here. Hold down Command or Control on the reflection mask. This new reflection mask here. That will highlight that reflection. Make sure to click on Reflection Sky Layer and then add a new layer mask, the rectangle with a circle in the middle. Okay, perfect. Now what we need to do is click off the paperclip again. Click off the paperclip. Click on the sky mask and press Command or Control T. Command or Control T. Perfect. And if we drag that down, that's great, but it's not reflecting. It's up the right way. So we need to right click just in the middle of the image and click Flip Vertical. Now, as we drag down, what do we want? We want a little bit of that orange bright section to come through, just like that. Perfect. Click OK. Let's zoom in and see how the fringe looks. Oh, it's pretty good, isn't it, really? It's pretty good, but we need to just burn that a little bit. So we already have the burn tool. If you don't, right click and select burn tool. We do want midtones again. Select midtones. 30% should be fine. And just a little, Command or Control Z. I need to click back on the background copy layer. It's gotten a bit confusing, hasn't it? The background copy, I'm just going to double click where it says that text, background copy, and I'll call this one Fringe Burn. Fringe Burn. Okay, so make sure you click back down on that Fringe Burn layer. And we'll just burn off some of those areas there a little. That all looks good, that all looks good. Looking great. Zooming out. Let's zoom right in actually. That rock looks perfect. I could maybe burn the fringe of it a little bit like that. Couple of dabs. This rock, a little bit of a fringe there. Let's burn that back. And then see how we've got a little bit of sky bleed into the edge of that rock there. We're going to now click on the reflection sky layer, click on the reflection sky mask, in fact, B for brush, and then if we select a black brush over here, if you have some funky colors here, be sure to click your default colors, which is pure black and pure white, that little tiny black and white icon, and then hit X or this little arrow to switch to a black brush. I am going to go with 100% opacity, 100% flow. I will drop my hardness down though. I'll drop it down to 0 in fact, and then make the brush nice and small. You can see this rock was actually is not terribly sharp, is it? That's not great. And what we can do with a small brush, we can kind of just make the edge of this rock back. Look at that, easy as that. Perfect. So just manually trace around the edge of that rock, remove any of that sky that's bled into there, and we're looking good. There's one more trick. You can see there's some ripples on the water here. Creating individual little ripples is going to be difficult, but what we can do is add a little bit of blur. Click on the reflection sky, the actual sky section, so not the mask, the sky. Move up to the filter menu, blur, motion blur. We can see that's too much, absolutely. You can see that the ripples go kind of left to right, side to side, horizontally. So set your angle to 0, and let's just give it a little bit. How much does it need? Maybe 20 pixels? Even that's probably too much. 10 pixels? A little bit like that. And I think that's pretty good. I think that's pretty good. We could also blur out this section a little bit so those ripples are not so prominent. Let's just do that too. In fact, yeah, let's press... Actually, if we come down here and duplicate that fringe burn layer, Command or Control J, add a layer mask, click on the fringe burn layer there, go filter, and just actually under filter it has the last filter effect at the very top. Click on that so it's the same. We get a little bit of blur there. Click on the mask, Command or Control invert, B for brush, make my brush a little bit bigger, and yep, 0 hardness with a white brush, and I might just lower my opacity down and just click along. I don't want to click on that rock because I don't want that to be blurry, but just click along this edge here. And you can see it gets a little bit softer, which matches our sky a little bit better. How are we going? We've nearly filled the hour with sky replacement. It looks like I lost a few when I said we nearly hit the stream record because we dropped a few numbers here, but we still have 52 watching along, which is absolutely incredible. At least I think we do. Not sure if it matches the live stream. Anyone seen my little banner? Maybe not. I'll have a look at the questions and whatnot in a moment. Okay, then all we would do is do a little bit of processing, and you know, we do it the same way. We're going to try and add a little bit of pop and a little bit of attention through the middle of the frame. For me, the subject is the beautiful sky, the bit of light on the crest of this rock here, on the crest of this mountain or hill. I don't know, what's the difference? What's the difference between a mountain and a hill? How big does a hill have to be before it's a mountain, or vice versa? How small does a mountain need to be before it's a hill? I think this is a hill. Anyway, so let's click to the very top and we'll add a little bit more light in the center. Curves layer, one point in the middle, lift up. We might just call it a bit of a contrast layer like that by bending a second point down. Perfect. Command or Control I. B for brush. Make my brush a little bigger. I'm going to drop my flow down to 50%. Opacity at 30. That's my go-to. 𝗵𝗃, white brush, a little bit more light through the middle there. Beautiful. We could even maybe add a touch of light, maybe just through here. Let's try and add a bit of golden sunlight. Solid color layer. Click an orange, click OK. Remember, if you want to, there's a detailed painting in golden sunlight live stream a few days back, so jump back and check that out if you're a bit unsure about what I'm doing here. Click color dodge. That looks pretty nice there. Let's just double click back in on the solid color icon. Yeah, we'll go with that. It's just by eye, and you know, having done this several times before, click on the layer mask, Command or Control I to invert, making sure you clicked on the layer mask first. I will drop the opacity because this is a very intense layer, so I'm now at 13%. A little bit up there, a little bit just up there. You know, maybe that's too much. Drop the opacity down. No, a little bit of pop in that sky too, yeah. Okay, that looks nice. A little bit of pop down there in that sky too, yeah. Using that same golden sunlight. And let's add a bit of a dark vignette. I think we're pretty much there. I think we've created something really, really nice. I will, when I want to really aggressively darken down, I'll pull the white point down and the middle down a little. So something like that. Command or Control I to invert. Command or Control minus to give me some space to paint around the edges. Opacity back at about 30. You know what? I often like a vignette, but I don't like it on this image. So if you don't like it, you know, use your intuition, and if you're not enjoying it, just leave it out. And maybe I'm going to add, so I've just deleted that layer. That was a bit quick, wasn't it, for following along? Deleted that layer, curves, pull down just a little bit, just a little. Command or Control I, and all I'm trying to do is just darken that top section of fraction, just to keep the eye from drifting up to the bright part. Okay, same along the bottom here. Maybe that rock can be a bit darker too. Maybe these rocks here could be a little bit darker. Maybe that grass. Okay, yeah, I'm liking that a little bit more. One more curves layer. Oops, that's an exposure layer. Delete that. One more curves layer. Same again, pull down a little bit, Command or Control I. Think we're done. I think we're done. Let me see if there's any questions. How did you enjoy that? Did anyone manage to follow along with me during the live stream? That would be some talent if you did. But as I said, the photo download is down there. Let me know if there's an issue or you can't download them or something or other. But they should be there to download. Come back, watch the video again, follow along, and then try it on your own images and see if you can replace a sky as realistically as that. Photoshop fakery at its best. Who have we got? Let me just go back. W for wand. Yes, of course. Photoshop magic wand. Photoshop generally has those terms down for the tools. I better remember that. It shows on mine. Oh, it shows on mine. Oh, that must be in reference to the subscriber banner. Hit the subscribe banner, see your name in lights. Hey, little tricky thing to get more of you subscribed. But, I mean, there's a benefit to subscribing. You can click the notifications and make sure you never miss out on these entertaining, somewhat live streams. Shows on full screen, okay. Hi, Victoria, showing from 𝗵𝗃. Okay. Hey, how you doing? Good to have you here. Kind of sounds like, I can imagine you guys like starting to drop in strange places to get me to say strange words. Don't get that idea in your head. Maxed out at 57. Well, if that's what we got, 57, that is a new stream record. We're going up in ones, but I'll take it. Tomorrow we're going to do that incredible composite image. So if you're interested in learning how to do that, join me. I think it's going to take a little bit more than an hour, but the replay will be accessible if you can't get through the entire tutorial in one go. Alex says, magic, mate. How do you get the Dropbox images into Photoshop? Yeah, good one. Okay, so click the Dropbox link. That'll take you to the Dropbox page. There should be a download button. I think it's top right. That will download to your downloads folder. And then when you open Photoshop, click File, Open, and then that will open up like a Explorer, like a browser, like not a browser window, like an Explorer window or a File Finder window. In the left-hand column, click on Downloads, and you should see those two files in your recent downloads. Click on that, click the Open button, into Photoshop it goes. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. Download, open Photoshop, click Open, go to the File menu, click Open, navigate to your downloads, click on those two files and click Open, and that will open up. Pamela lost me along the way. Oh, Pamela, you know, jump back. And well, the other benefit is if you're going to watch the replay, you can slow me down. So in the bottom right-hand corner, there's a little settings clog. It's not available on the live stream for obvious reasons. But in the replay, you can slow me down to 75% or 50% and watch where my mouse goes. And hopefully you'll be able to follow along that entire tutorial step by step. Yay, compositing. We got one fan on board. Thanks, Robin. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. What time tomorrow? 10 a.m. every day. Or 10 a.m. I start the live stream, but there's a 10-minute countdown to let everyone grab a cup of tea. You know, tomorrow, grab a cup of tea, download all the images, open Photoshop, open all those images into Photoshop. To be honest, I think it's going to be easier to watch along the first time and then follow along via the replay. Okay, it could get rather frustrating, I think, following along to the live stream if I'm going. I'll try and go as slow as possible, but at the same time, I don't want it to take 3 hours. I think it's going to take about an hour and a half tomorrow. Oh, okay. Hey, Sandy. Not Sandy and Tim, just Tim's upstairs at work. Good on Tim. I'm glad he can work at home. I have that privilege as well myself, so it's quite a privilege now to be working at home. Makes sense. Thanks again. When does daylight saving finish? Got no idea. Pamela's over there in WA, so it's obviously really, really early for Pamela. But you can follow along via the replay. Anyway, I think that's it. There was no other questions. Hit the subscribe button. If you enjoyed this stream, you can support the channel by hitting the like button, leaving a comment. That is always much appreciated. Remember, if you want to learn Photoshop, my most popular Photoshop course is in the description below, and you can pay whatever price you like, including zero. Once again, hit the subscribe button, get those notifications, and we will see you tomorrow with the most complex tutorial that we've tried to date. It's a real challenge, but I'm sure you can all do it. Thanks for watching along. Take care, stay safe, love to your family. See you tomorrow. Bye for now.